Mr. Duffy, good morning to you. I come from New Jersey, so you know I'm going to ask you about the Newark Airport
Yeah.
because it's very frightening what we've been experiencing. I want to know specifically, what are you proposing to do to eliminate those problems that have impacted safety, security, and landing in Newark?
Yeah.
What are you proposing as it relates to ensuring that the appropriate staffing exists in addition to the issues with infrastructure? And how do you see the time frame taking place?
Thank you for the question. So here's what I'm doing. So first, the Newark, Teterboro, and Morristown used to be controlled by N90, which was in New York, right? That had LaGuardia and JFK controlling all that airspace. It was the N90 TRACON. Last summer, the last administration moved the Newark airspace from N90 down to the Philadelphia TRACON. And I think two issues happened. They didn't test and make sure the lines were hardened, the communication was hardened when they did that. And the second is they didn't move the STARS system, which helps interpret the radar from N90 down to Philadelphia as well. So those are the two problems. There were outages in October and November as well in Newark. So here's what we've done. We had fiber laid at the airports. That's being, you can't just deploy it, we want to test it right now. So at the airports, that's being tested today. We're working with Verizon, who have been great partners with us, to get us all fiber going from the airports down to the Philly TRACON, from Newark to Philly. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver for you. That was going to be done actually next year, I believe. Then it was going to be done in the fall, then the summer. I hope to have even better news for you, but we're working at lightning speed and pace to get this resolved in Newark. Again, today the FAA is having a conversation about how all the airlines can come together to reduce the flights at Newark. So if you book your flight, you know it's going to fly. And I do think it's important that we slow the flights, because we don't want to have more flights than can be controlled in the airspace and then make this less safe. So I want this to be safe and do it at a speed that we can
Thank you. So
control.
that speaks to infrastructure issues,
Yes.
technology issues. What about staffing issues? What about tower control
Thank you.
staffers and the people that need to have eyes and ears and, responsibility for the
Yes.
safety and security at the airport?
So I think the last administration moved it because they were having staffing issues at N90 and they thought they could better staff it at Philadelphia. That was one of the rationales. Just to be clear, so if you have a 20-year controller, well-experienced, working the Denver airspace or the Chicago airspace, and I go, hey, let's move them over to the Philly TRACON and let them control Newark.
So
You can't do
I'm
that.
asking you, what are you going to do about it?
Well, so I'm trying to, so just, let me make this point. You can't, it takes a year, even for an experienced controller, to get trained up in the Newark airspace. You just can't move them around because they have experience as controllers. So what I've done is I've offered, I mentioned this earlier, but I've offered to pay a bonus to air traffic controllers to not retire after 25 years, but to stay on the job. We're going to pay them 20% upfront cash, and every year they stay, we're going to pay them. And we're supercharging, young people coming into the academy. But you can't fix this overnight. I can't fix this in a couple months. This is going to take us, a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Thank you. So on one hand, I see that there is there are cuts that are proposed to the FAA budget. On the other hand, I see the IIJA budget is being cut, or the access to that money is being cut. Is one trying to offset the other? When we look at what seems to be a need for an increase, something that Secretary Buttigieg responded to, we're now trying to figure out are we robbing Peter to pay Paul, or are we going to add to Peter and Paul?
Oh, I think the budget is we're adding to Peter and Paul. The only IIJA money that was reduced was the NEVI money. That was the $7 billion for chargers. Then you didn't get charges for the money that was spent. So that was in the budget to be taken away. But no, we're adding to the IIJA by $1.5 billion. And I forgot your question was something specific. But we've added money to it. And Yeah, so and again, we haven't let any controllers go. We've protected safety critical missions in the department, which are air traffic controllers. So we're trying to hire more air traffic. We actually have hired more air traffic controllers. We're not letting them go. We're trying to bring more
Thank
online.
you. That's such an important airport for us, for our
is.
economy, for our traveling public. Safety and security is first and foremost, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the additional time and for acknowledging me when I came in.
It's even more important because I fly out of there too all the time. So I want to make sure it works.